First of all, collaboration is slow. It doesn't always happen quickly, so you need to plant seeds and just wait patiently, because collaborations will happen on their own time. And that is an important point to remember. I also think that collaboration, everybody needs to know that collaboration is a capacity building tool. So if you want to make an impact a greater impact in the community in a particular area or on a particular issue, you have to really get everybody focused on that issue and working together, because that is really the way to maximize impact. Collaboration also is a possible way of doing things, working smarter and more effectively and more efficiently. So when you start looking at how resources are being deployed in the community and you kind of look at the landscape, you can see where you might have overlap and there might be inefficiencies, and by taking that broad view, you can really start seeing where collaboration might make sense. The important thing for business people to realize is that they most likely use concepts of collaboration in their business world. They're very aware of who's doing what around them, whether it makes sense to also do the same thing, whether it makes sense to, they're all about using leverage and how to be most effective in leverage. And collaboration is about one of the highest leverage points in philanthropy. Our experience has been that for very minimal dollars, you can make an incredible impact. So you need to think about leverage. I'd like to give an example. In Phoenix, we spent $11,000 to dissolve one nonprofit and help another nonprofit absorb a very successful program, but faltering, not scalable, from a non-scalable nonprofit. And within 1 year, the organization that had assumed the project had gotten $4 million to run that project. So our $11,000 yielded $4 million in the space of a year, and that's leverage. Collaboration is a capacity building tool. It is not it's not something to do as a last resort as you're faltering. It's not an admission of defeat. It's really often a courageous act. And it also takes, it's important for nonprofits to get out of their silos and get out of their I guess their normal way of looking at their work, which is looking at their work just in terms of their own organization. When they get outside of their organization and focus on the mission they're trying to accomplish, it's much easier to see how the mission, how accomplishing a mission takes additional partners. If I'm an organization that feeds the homeless, I will have a greater impact if I can partner or at least know about and work with organizations that house the homeless, organizations that educate the homeless, that together we will have a more significant impact on that homeless person than just by working alone. So I think that just getting outside one silo and looking at and focusing on mission is really important. First of all, and I guess I would have two basic points to make. The first is that a funder-induced or funder-forced collaborations are generally not successful. So even if as a funder you are frustrated by looking at what might be a lot of duplication and inefficiency in an area of your interest, to mandate that organizations collaborate might yield some short-term results, but normally the best collaborations are sustained when they are formed organically by the organizations themselves, which leads to the second point. Foundations have the power to set a stage to encourage collaboration and do it in a non-threatening way. They can convene their grantees around common subjects. They can share best practices. Collaborations really evolve through the development of trust. They're like any relationship, and collaboration is a complex relationship. It's like a marriage, and it takes time to develop and to be nurtured. And so just bringing people together for a common purpose can start the conversations that lead to trust. Foundations also have the power, because they're interested generally in specific issues, to convene stakeholders around an issue, including their grantees, maybe not their grantees, maybe government and other stakeholders. And again, it's the power to bring everybody together to start discussing an issue where everybody then focuses on the goal, which is to move the needle in the community, to maximize impact, and that then can lead to discussions about where are the natural alliances and partnerships that help maximize impact. So I think foundations have a role to play in nurturing and creating and nurturing an environment that encourages collaboration. I am delighted to have been invited here by the Patterson Foundation, because the Patterson Foundation is a kindred spirit to Lodestar. We have been working in this collaboration space for 12 years, and last year were delighted to learn that the Patterson Foundation not only is working in the same area, but really is really taking the whole issue of collaboration even farther than we had contemplated in certain areas. The need is great. There are many organizations thinking about collaboration, but not really having any support for either finding right parties to help them through the process or having funding to help them through the process. Until we found out about the Patterson Foundation, Lodestar was the only foundation in the country employing this strategy and having funds available for this. There now are different pools of funds available around the country, but they are very kind of tangential to the main work of the foundation. The Patterson Foundation has taken the lead in not only helping nonprofits to consider collaboration, but actually in terms of finding qualified consultants to help lead them in their process. And so they have are starting an initiative to help populate the country with better trained consultants. There are many consultants in the country, many of whom, as we all know, there are not many consultants who are sufficiently trained to work in collaboration, because it requires lots of skills in addition to traditional consulting skills. And in fact, I like to think of it as marriage counseling. There are personalities involved, egos involved. It's not just numbers, and it's not just strategy. And so it takes a very specially trained person to work in that space. One of the needs that Lodestar has identified as a critical need in the collaboration space is the need for more trained consultants to help facilitate collaborations, to help nonprofits in their journey to collaborate. And we have thought a lot about what to do, but the Patterson Foundation is actually far ahead of us in terms of taking concrete steps to increase the number of trained consultants. they have an initiative. They have started an initiative with La Piana Consulting as their partner to train. It's an ambitious initiative to train more consultants. They are casting their net not only statewide, but they also are working with other foundations on the Eastern Seaboard to ramp up basically a consortium of consultants in the field, and not just to be able to develop a stable of consultants, but a stable of highly trained consultants. And so they have actually, so Patterson is actually working on modifying what was decent training in making it exceptional training, and really working on focusing the training on the most capable consultants who really can do this most difficult work, which is, I'm not sure where I dropped off before, which involves not only some elements of strategic planning and some elements of looking at finances, but also involves being somewhat of a marriage counselor and dealing with egos and dealing with different cultures that may exist in organizations. So it's a very, very focused and complex type of consultant that is required, that is needed to perform this difficult work. And as I said, that's the big need, and the Patterson Foundation is really taking the lead nationally on trying to assure that there will be a good supply of qualified consultants for the sector.